When Skip first became paralyzed, you don't know what to do. You know, your life is turned upside down.
We got married in '93. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in '99.
You know, our son Will was diagnosed just 6 days after his 5th birthday, and he was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a very rare form of bone cancer.
Here's a message for you, from my heart to yours. No matter the places we've been, this time is ours.
In 1989, Paul Jackson, at age 28, underwent surgery to remove a tumor from his spinal cord. Paul, a lifelong athlete, was left paralyzed. He began a strenuous rehabilitation program. The medical bills began to mount. His family and friends, along with community members, rallied together to raise money for Paul. And with that, the Paul Jackson Fund was born. With time and the support from the Paul Jackson Fund's various fundraisers, most significantly the annual golf outing, Paul's health stabilized. Although he remained paralyzed and bound to a wheelchair, he no longer depended on finances from the fund. Experiencing such compassion and generosity from family and friends motivated Paul. He decided to do everything in his power to help others. His own personal tragedy became his inspiration. He now had a calling.
He would say, given the choice of walking again and running the Paul Jackson Fund, I choose to run the Paul Jackson Fund.
Paul took full control of the fund and set out to raise money and create a charity of last resort, a safety net for people whose needs had become so dire they had nowhere else to turn.
It's hard to ask for help. It's hard to have been the one that would help other people, and now you need the help, and you don't know where to find it. I needed a deck so that when he came home from the hospital, that I could get him into the house.
And being a quadriplegic, my necessities doubled. So knowing that we needed the ramp and they're telling us what the costs were in the hospital, I mean, my head was spinning.
When Paul said that he would help us, I called Skip. I said, I have something to tell you. And I was crying. So, you know, he touched my heart, and, you know, I finally felt some relief. Oh, God, finally, you know, there's somebody that's going to help us. Because I didn't know, you know, where I was going to get this money from, you know, like, it was horrible.
Just meeting him and seeing his face, I started crying like a baby because that burden was off my back.
I call it the porch that Paul built.
The relationship that he had with these people was really incredible. He helped them, and the fund helps people, which is what makes the fund so special, that everybody else shuts doors on. No one else helps them. Paul would spend hours and hours and hours listening to people who had nobody else to listen to them. He helped them with their bills, he helped them keep their homes, but he also helped them as a friend. These people he helped all knew that Paul really, really cared about them in a way that nobody else did.
They were out talking in the van for, I'd say, at least 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Any question I had, he was very helpful, and he was very forthcoming with his answers. And it helped me a lot, because prior to that, we were wrestling with the different options of surgeries for Will, if we wanted to do a limb salvage or if there was going to be an amputation. Quite frankly, I was scared. And then to talk with Paul, to get his point of view, his perspective, was very helpful and very comforting.
Dennis Joseph, who had been a volunteer for the Paul Jackson Fund, found himself in need of help when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Paul immediately showed up at his house and provided much-needed financial and emotional support. Miraculously, Dennis is now cancer-free and uses a voice box donated to him by the fund.
We want to thank the Paul Jackson Fund for all of their help.
After nearly 20 years of dedicating his life to helping others, Paul's cancer returned. This time, he was unable to overcome it. Paul passed away in February of 2009. His dream and only wish was for the work of the fund to continue. Paul's family members are fulfilling that wish.
Everyone is enormously committed to making sure that this fund continues. This was Paul's legacy. We are completely committed to helping people as Paul did. We go out, we sit in their living rooms, at their kitchen table, and we talk about their situations. We find out what's going on in their families, what's led them to this point, and how we can assist them.
The fund's mission lives on, assisting families like the Okeke family, whose 11-year-old son, Victor, has been severely disabled since he was a baby. The Paul Jackson Fund donated an automatic lift to help Victor in and out of his home.
We knew that this piece of equipment would make a huge difference for Victor and for everybody in the family.
Cody Smith was hit by a car when he was just 5 years old. The accident left him a quadriplegic. He became severely depressed and disfigured himself. His psychiatrist, Dr. Diane Kaufman, saw Cody's potential for healing through art therapy, but his family could not afford it. The Paul Jackson Fund paid for Cody's new computer, as well as his art and writing lessons. Cody is making great progress. He even broadcasts a sports and weather report for his school with his new computer. With your help, the work of the Paul Jackson Fund will continue, helping those who have run out of options, who have nowhere else to turn. Please visit pauljacksonfund.org and find out how you can make a difference. With your help, Paul Jackson's mission will endure.
One of the greatest events that happened to us was having the Paul Jackson Fund be so close to us, understanding our needs and being so helpful.
Words fail. You know, words just fail. You know, I mean, he truly was an angel.
We needed an angel, and God gave us Paul.